What if you could build the same powerful workflows that big companies charge you for every month, but host them yourself securely for a fraction of the cost? So that's exactly what I'm going to walk you through today. I'll take you step by step into self-hosting n8n on a VPS using Hostinger's one-click Docker setup. So I partnered with Hostinger, and the link and the coupon are in the description if you want to get a discount and support the channel. So by the end, you'll have your own n8n instance live and running and full control of your data and ready in minutes. So let's see how simple hosting your own automation tool can be. So what if hosting your own automation tool felt as simple as signing up for a SaaS account? So that's the real shift that Hostinger's VPS makes possible. And it's why I recommend it for anyone who wants to move beyond monthly usage fees. So instead of being tied to a platform that charges you by the task, you get a server that you fully control at a predictable flat cost. So this server then becomes the foundation where n8n runs privately, meaning all your workflows and data live on your own environment rather than on someone else's infrastructure. So for those who value privacy and stability, that small difference changes everything. So this is why Hostinger's one-click Docker template for n8n makes such a huge difference. So instead of dropping you into a raw VPS and leaving you to piece everything together, they provide a ready-made environment to run your automation tool from the start. So Docker is essentially a container system that packages applications with everything that you need to work correctly, which means that you don't have to worry about the operating system has the right version of Node.js or the right set of libraries. So Docker handles that by isolating n8n inside by its own environment. So when you update n8n later on, or even move it to container to a different machine, the inner workings stay consistent and reliable. So I'm also going to show you how to install Ollama on the server as well, which means that your data stays in the server and doesn't go anywhere else. So the experience looks like this. So you complete your VPS setup, log in into your Hostinger dashboard, and right there, you can see your n8n already active in a Docker container. So you're not manually typing installation steps, resolving packages, or editing configuration files. Instead, you simply point your browser to the n8n instance on your VPS, and you're greeted with the login page like it's any hosted service. So for anyone who's been conditioned to think hosting means hours of tinkering, this is a huge pattern shift, and it turns the VPS into something that feels almost plug and play. So getting started is straightforward, and this is the part where you actually see how the pieces comes together. So from the initial sign up all the way to the first login, the process is designed to minimize confusion and keep you focused on what matters. It's launching your own working n8n environment. So the first task is selecting a VPS plan. So Hostinger offers several tiers, but I highly recommend going with a KVM2 plan. This option balances reasonable pricing with enough resources to let you grow. In fact, KVM includes 2 CPUs, 8 gigs of RAM, and also 100 gigs of NVMe disk space, which is more than enough for handling multiple workflows and heavier automations without worrying about bottlenecks right away. So you don't need to overbuy if you're just exploring n8n, but KVM2 offers room to expand so that your setup won't install when you start connecting multiple data or running data-intensive jobs. All right, so when you click on a plan options, you'll be prompted to pick a billing cycle. Hostinger typically offers 1, 12, or 24 months, and the longer commitments bring the monthly rate down further. It's worth noting though that the attractive pricing shown on the site is usually an introductory discount, and renewal prices can be higher, so check your renewal rate before locking yourself into a long term. So that way you'll know exactly what cost to expect rather than being surprised later. So you're going to pick the period that you want to pay for upfront. And then for the coupon code, type in Coding Menace, which will give you a 10% discount, as well as support the channel. So the next thing that you want to do is select an operating system. So we're going to be selecting a n8n, which is going to be pre-built with everything that you need to get up and running. And then you're going to hit continue. And then you're going to have to create an account if you don't have an account. All right, so I've logged into my account. So let's take a look at how simple this installation process is. But before we do, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe to see more videos like this. So let's get into it. So inside the dashboard is where the actual server setup begins. So you'll see your Vivi EPS listed as the new service. So we're going to click on setup and we're going to pick a location. So if you live in Lithuania, obviously you're going to pick something that's close to you. So whenever you log into your server, you want to make sure that you're very close to the location where the server is installed at. So I'm going to pick the United States and hit next. And then I'm going to type in n8n, and so I can select it. And then I'm just going to do an n8n key mode. And then for the root password, this is going to allow you to SSH into the server so you can be able to access it as a root user. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and enter a root password. As you can see that it didn't pass my validation. So I need to use 12 to 50 characters and additional special symbols. So after entering a password that's valid, that meets the criteria, I'm going to next. You can optionally add an SSH key, which you can add later on after you set up the server. So we're going to go ahead and finish the setup of the server by clicking on the finish setup button here. And then it's going to take about up to 5 minutes. So you're just going to have to go back and revisit this page after the VPS server has been set up. So once the installation has completed, you're going to be presented with a page that looks like this. So you can either access the VPS right away through SSH by copying this command and log in as a root user, or you can click on this link, which will take you to the page where you can manage all your VPS instances. So instead of going into and accessing it from the terminal, we're going to go ahead and manage VPS by clicking on this button, which will take us to where you can see the running instances. So we're going to skip all these. All right, so let's talk about the Hostinger's web interface when you're managing the VPS instances. So from this screen, you can see what app I'm running on my VPS, as well as the type of operating system that I have, which is Ubuntu 24.04. This is where you can see that I have a KVM2 instance running here. I'll be able to get the command to be able to access my server as a root user using this SSH command. I can also change my root password here if I forgot what the password is during the setup process. I can also reboot the VPS as well. So this makes it everything super easy as far as managing the VPS from this UI. You can also see here that you can also upgrade to a higher tier. So if your VPS is encountering a bottleneck as far as running workflows, you can upgrade to a higher tier if the current tier is not meeting your expectation. So you can also see the VPS details, where the server is located. Currently it's in the United States in Boston, the OS, as well as the host name, and also you can see the root name. You can also set up your SSH key. So if you're tired of keep typing your password into the terminal, you can add your public SSH key on the screen here as well. And it's going to take care of setting that up for you on the server. So going back into the screen. So what's cool about this is, in addition to be able to access your n8n installation by clicking on this manage app, which kind of makes it super easy to manage your n8n installation. So let's access our terminal by clicking on this browser terminal and actually go into the server. So let's go ahead and click on the browser terminal. This is going to open up a new window in our browser. So this is going to give you this full browser experience without having to go manually into your terminal, so which is kind of convenient. So if you're familiar with running Linux commands, you'll be able to type some commands here, such as being able to list the files inside of this server. You can see here that there's a Docker compose already. Since we have a pre-built installation, all that stuff was already installed in the server automatically. So I can be able to say Docker PS to get a list of running containers on the server right now. So you can see here that I have a n8n installation, as well as traffic for reverse proxy, as well as Postgres for storing our n8n data, as well as running Redis for caching. So from here, kind of give you some options as far as be able to update your n8n installation. So most likely you want to update your n8n installation so you're always up to date, so you have all the features that you need to run n8n automations. So to be able to update to the latest, you can just do a Docker compose pull. And this is going to pull all the latest images for all the containers that are running on your server. And then we can just do just to be safe, we can just do a Docker compose down, which will bring it down momentarily. And then we can do a Docker compose up in detached mode, so you can have it up and running again. So that's how easy it is to update your n8n installation if you have to update it in the future, which most likely you are going to need to update in the future. So let's go ahead and move on to the next step. So I want to be able to install Ollama on our server to be able to interact with the Llama model so that we don't have to call to an external, LLM provider such as OpenAI. So we can keep all our data private in our server, so you don't have to go anywhere else. So they have an article provided by Hostinger, which will allow you to actually install Ollama. If you're not familiar with Ollama, Ollama is an open source platform that lets you run fine-tuned large language models locally on your machine. So it keeps the data that you have, everything on the server, so you don't have to worry about exposing or pushing your data anywhere else. It allows you to install Llama 3.2 models, GPT 3.5, and Mistral. Recently, they had a partnership with OpenAI, which will allow you to install GPT-OSS model if you want to install this model on your machine or server. So let's go ahead and actually install this. Instead of having to go with the route where you install the dependencies and opting a server, installing Python and all that stuff, we're going to go ahead and take a different approach and install Ollama using Docker. So I'm going to go ahead and copy a command and go back into the web terminal here. I'm just going to paste the text here. We're going to go ahead and run and install Ollama on this machine. So Ollama is the actual tool. We don't have a model just yet. We're just going to go ahead and install the Ollama, and then we're going to name it Ollama. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Since I already have it installed, it's not going to allow me to actually install it again. So once you have the Ollama images in your machine and running, so if I do a Docker PS, you can see that Ollama is already running on the server. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to install a model for this Ollama installation. We're going to go ahead and do a Llama 3.2 1B installation, and we're going to go ahead and paste a command. I already have it installed, and that's why you're seeing this one. Otherwise, you're going to see a progress screen where you're going to see the installation of the model being downloaded and actually installed on your machine. So once you see a message that looks like this, that means that the actual installation has been successfully completed. We can play around with this inside of n8n now. So inside of our n8n installation, I have a brand new workflow. We're going to do a trigger. We're just going to do a simple on-chat message here. So you're going to see a node that looks like this, where we can interact with it and test out the Llama installation. The next node that we need to add is an AI agent. So we're going to go ahead and click on AI, and we're going to go and click on AI agent. Within your AI agent, you can connect your memory and tool and additional stuff. At a minimum, you need to connect a chat model where we're going to be using the actual Ollama itself. So when you click on the chat model here, you're going to be brought up with the screen where you can choose your chat model that you want to use. You can use Anthropic, you can use OpenAI, and you can use all these different models. So we're going to be using the Ollama chat model since that's what we have installed on the server. I already have my account set up, but if you want to get started with this, this is the base URL that you need to specify here. Since we named our instance of Ollama, so we can refer to it as Ollama HTTP, and this is the port 11434, and then and that's about it. You need to specify an API key here, and just have to make sure that you can connect to it. So if I do a retry here, you can see that it's connected. Connection tested successfully, and we can close this window. One thing that you need to specify here is the actual model itself. Since we installed Llama 3.2 column 1B, that's the model that we need to pick here. So if you have additional models such as GPT-OSS, you need to specify the correct model that you have installed in the server. So you can close this by clicking anywhere else, and let's go ahead and test this out by saying hello, and then see it responded. So let's ask a bit more complex question that's outside of just saying hello. So let's just say, what is the tallest building in the world? And then after a few seconds, we should be able to get a response from Ollama itself. You see here, the tallest building in the world, as of my knowledge, cut off in 2023, is the Burj Khalifa. So you see that the train model is based on the 2023 date cutoff. So that's what we're getting here. So that's how simple it is to run Ollama and also install n8n on a Hostinger VPS. So this is all I want to talk about in this video. So the result is that with just a few steps, you already own a live functioning automation that runs privately on your own server. So you see the workflow trigger, the data flow through, and the calls to your private installed Llama model. So it's practical, fast, and requires no advanced background to get started. So what makes this setup useful is how it combines open source flexibility with straightforward hosting. So you can save up to 67% compared with hosted automation plans. So depending on your usage and which hosting or promotional pricing applies. So the difference that gives you is predictable pricing, stronger privacy, and full ownership. But remember that you're also responsible for updates, security patches, and scaling as your workflow grows. So if you want to give it a try, the Hostinger link and the coupon are in the description. Thanks for sticking around the video. And I do have an affiliate partnership there, so which helps support the channel. Yeah, so I'll see you guys on the next video.